the moment I decided to rise again. There are days in life when the weight of everything you carry becomes too heavy to ignore. Not because something dramatic happens, but because the small burdens you've been pretending not to feel finally gather into a storm you can no longer outrun. For me, that storm arrived on an ordinary afternoon. The sun was shining, people were laughing somewhere outside my window, and the world continued as if nothing was wrong. Yet inside my chest, something felt unbearably hollow. I had spent months pretending to be strong, holding myself together with fraying threads, telling everyone I was fine while my world quietly crumbled around me. I had lost opportunities one once counted on. I had watched friendships fade and confidence evaporate. I had failed in ways that left me questioning not just my choices, but my worth. And the most painful part was that no one could see it. I looked functional on the outside, but inside, I was sinking. I remember that afternoon because it was the first time I admitted the truth to myself. I was tired of pretending. I was tired of surviving instead of living. I was tired of waking up each day with fear as my first companion and regret as my last. I sat in silence, staring at the messy room around me, dishes unwashed, papers scattered, things left undone. A perfect reflection of the chaos inside me. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself feel everything I had been avoiding. The disappointment, the exhaustion, the anger, the shame. I let the thoughts rush in like a flood. Why did I fall? Why can't I get up? Am I not good enough? Why does it hurt so much? Why does everything feel impossible? I didn't have any answers. But it was in the middle of these questions, in the deepest part of my despair, that something unexpected happened. I felt a spark. A tiny, fragile spark, the kind you barely notice at first, but it was there. A small whisper inside me saying, "You are not done yet." It wasn't confidence. It wasn't strength. It was simply a possibility, the possibility that maybe, just maybe, I had more inside me than the pain I was drowning in. That whisper became a thought, and that thought became a breath, and that breath became a decision. I will rise again. Not because I felt ready. Not because I had a plan. But because staying down felt more painful than the idea of trying again. Rising wasn't a moment of inspiration, it was a moment of surrender, surrendering my excuses, surrendering my fear, surrendering the belief that my story was over. And when I stood up from the floor, even though my knees trembled, I felt something shift inside me. the smallest but strongest sense of direction returning to my heart. That first step wasn't heroic. I didn't fix my life overnight. I didn't suddenly feel motivated. All I did was choose to move. I cleaned one corner of my room. I made my bed. I drank a glass of water. Small things. Tiny things. But each act, as insignificant as it seemed, was a quiet rebellion against the darkness I had allowed to swallow me. Each action whispered the same message: you are still here. You are still trying. You are still capable. And as the minutes turned into hours and the hours into days, those small steps began to rebuild something I had lost trust in myself. But rising again is never simple. After the initial spark fades, reality hits. The doubts return. The old voices reappear. And they came for me too. I questioned everything. What if I fail again? What if nothing changes? What if I'm only fooling myself? The fear of falling a second time felt even heavier than the first fall. But something within me had changed, not dramatically, not visibly, but deeply. I realized that fear had always held more power over me because I treated it as a stop sign instead of a signal. This time, I allowed fear to exist without letting it control me. I felt afraid, and I stood anyway. I felt uncertain, and I moved anyway. I felt unworthy, and I tried anyway. And in doing so, I discovered a truth that would reshape my life forever. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that something else matters more. That something else was my future self, the version of me I had nearly abandoned, the version who still believed I could become someone stronger, wiser, braver. I wanted to meet that person. I wanted to become that person. And that desire became my fuel. I began rebuilding my life slowly, painfully slowly. I picked up habits I had lost. I revisited dreams I had buried. I reconnected with the pieces of myself that felt distant and forgotten. Some days I made progress. Some days I barely managed to get out of bed. But even on the bad days, I reminded myself, standing still is not the same as falling back. Healing is not linear. Growth is not constant. Strength is not always loud. And rising, truly rising, is something you recommit to every single day. As weeks turned into months, I noticed something subtle changing inside me. The person who once woke up with dread began waking up with a question instead: what can I try today? Not what can I finish? Or what can I accomplish? Just what can I try? And try I did. New goals. new challenges, new risks. Some worked out, many didn't. But every attempt built resilience, and resilience became my new foundation. And eventually, one unexpected morning, I realized something profound. The moment I decided to rise again was not the moment I got back on my feet, it was the moment I remembered who I truly was. Someone who had fallen, yes, but someone who refused to stay down. Someone who had been broken, yes, but someone who refused to remain shattered. Someone who had been lost, yes, but someone who still carried a compass inside the heart, pointing toward something better. That is the moment that saved me.